Alright, we've hit time, so I'm gonna start. I have noticed over the past few months as we do these, people have been showing up less and less. I don't know if that's because they've been relying on the recordings or there's just less of an interest, but yeah, say la vie at this point. I like these because we get to basically run updates over everything being done in the community. So, without further ado, we're going to start with the community itself. Any questions for anyone in the actual town hall chat, they can open the local chat and put them in. I will be doing Q&A at the end, and I will also be addressing any Twitch subs or questions after that. So, let me get my notes page up real quick. All right. And then if I stop talking, that's usually because there's a sub message going on, so bear with me with that. But nonetheless, let's go over everything tied to the Arma 3 community first. So, with March, the main focus for operations is going to be trying to do a bit more stuff on the weekends. Trying to see if we can get some higher numbers for the new training program beyond the usual 20 to 30 and see if we can pump it up to 40 by putting things on the weekend. The one difficulty we're going to have there is what I already have to do, as well as burning myself out, which I am a little today, but I'll go over that a little later. But it'll be a focus on mainly World War II-esque operations. Devil still has two or three more, I think three more operations to do on Mondays. I'm doing my best to make sure he's got his server set up by Saturdays, but I've been dragging my feet on that because of other stuff I've been having to do. But regardless, that is the main plan. We'll also do some World War II armor-only themed operations and another one or two of those World War II either plane-only ops or the AA defense crews on the ground. We also need to run the monthly SOG op because the previous one, which we ran recently, was for February, and we'll be fine-tuning that one a little bit more. So I think around the 20th, I will put polls up. We'll start polling again to allow the community to choose the op topic. This one I was more so piggybacking off of Devil Demon's idea, and it just kind of has turned into a whole World War II theme for everything involved, which I think people are going to enjoy that change in scenery. But again, the goal was for March to give you guys the power back, but we're just going to bump it to April instead. The only thing looking at the calendar here that I want to bring up is through the end of this month on the 29th till the 3rd of April, I've got some people coming over IRL, so I'm not sure um, how that's going to play into my schedule. I'm not going to do anything on those days, but we might still fit one or two things. But I know that's just going to be some dates where I don't have anything. Also, for April, since that's going to be the first weekend, I'm probably going to shoot for Town Hall on the 6th. And then running anything after, I don't know, because that day is usually I'm blacked out for that day for a personal reason as well. But otherwise, it's going to be next 3 weeks looking over everything on this schedule. Fridays, I know I'm still uppity about in terms of what we do after FNF because of, I don't know. I want there to be something after FNF, but at the same time, usually FNF just makes me super tired after 3 rounds of commentating it, so I'm still trying to at least, balance maybe doing something with the 5th or doing a tagged up here, but again, if I don't get it announced at least the day of, then just assume it's not happening. That's the general unspoken rule here with everything. Speaking of pay for pain, I gotta bump it back again. There were way too many things that kind of came down today and yesterday that I just ran out of time, which is unfortunate, but that's just how it happens. I will schedule it for the next available Saturday and make sure it's announced well in advance. Right now, I just need to focus on I mean, I guess the closest day we can move it to, because we're doing the MCO next week, would be moving it to the 23rd. Um, at that same, like, noon slot, but I'll talk to Patch. If I can just get the MCO prepped for next week early, then we can get the pay for pain moved immediately after in the following week. Speaking of the MCO, I'm going to be giving communities till either Tuesday or Wednesday to get themselves slotted. I know there's a few other people that want to register their communities. I need to reply to them in DMs about things. We're going to liquidate the community tags tomorrow and just make everyone grab an ARMA tag, and then all community leaders are just going to have their community representative tag, and I'll keep management of them in our community channel, but I also have a sticky note and I've written down everyone's name. So I guess this month I'm also looking to try to optimize everything in terms of workload. Because I know for the MCO, I'm probably not going to spend, the 4 or 5 hours writing those massive documents anymore, because I found that only a handful of people actually read them. So I'm just going to write a 10-20 minute ARMA announcement post, which is what I do for some of the more complex operations, and that's just gonna time save. But I'll probably post that when I want general slotting to happen, which will be around Wednesday or Thursday. So we'll probably see the post come up Wednesday for slotting Thursday for all the non-reserved slots at this point. Checkpoint RP and any other, fun little meme operations, again, we'll just be doing them as they come up. But again, it takes a lot of time to set those events up, and I'm trying to figure out where I can optimize my time a bit better, because again, there's a big chunk of the player base that won't pay attention to the certain aspects that are set up. So I feel my time is spent a little bit better elsewhere. But looking back on the calendar here, High Command's final operation appears to be on the 12th, so we'll start doing Tuesday operations on the 19th. Since that is the least popular slot, I'm thinking of doing some small scale or Spec Ops style stuff that is, again, World War II themed for those 2 weeks. The Monday slot is going to be staying in Devil's Pocket, I guess, till the end of the month based off of this schedule. Wednesday will be a bit difficult. I know for the 13th coming up, I'm going to have to bump that back by an hour, so it'll start at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time instead of 3. However, do note that these times are going to be a little iffy, because I think we have daylight savings tomorrow. So everything goes forward an hour, so that's going to eventually, that means that slot's going to go 2 hours ahead for the 13th, because I've got something important in the morning. But the Wednesday ops themselves, I'll be mixing between some smaller scale trainings based off of what I'm going to be doing with Rate Road. And that's also where we're potentially going to have some of the armor stuff and whatnot. Otherwise, for the rest of this month, I am going to be focusing on the commission jobs as well as expanding them if I can, but that's just kind of a, if it happens, it happens. But I've been doing a good job outsourcing a good chunk of that work, so it doesn't completely consume me, so I still have time for here. Again, it's just going to be an interesting balance of getting all the commission work set with this community, in the sense that, especially since I stated earlier we want to focus on doing stuff over the weekends, how can I still fit all of that without burning myself out? Because if you look, 16th we're gonna have 3 things, 23rd, since I'm gonna move pay for pain down there, we're gonna have 3 things. So it'll be interesting, because I also need to make sure I'm having some time carved out for some other IRL activities, because my fiance definitely wants some of that time. So again, it'll just be a balancing act as we go week to week. And I think it's going to take us at least till April or maybe even May before we get something concrete in the schedule. But at the same time, Bloodwing likes to be spontaneous with me, so we need to, I'm thinking April is when I'll be contacting some of the previous Zeus winners and getting operations sorted as quote-unquote fill-ins. That program I mentioned, I think a month or 2 ago, where I can step off of a slot and let someone else run something. either as an emergency or pre-planned if I don't feel like Zeusing that day, and instead just playing on the ground because that gives me more time. I'm trying to think. I skipped ahead in my talking points a bit, so I'm just skimming. I guess for scheduling wise, COG, just to talk about the other communities I'm working with, 506 is still going to be a bi weekly Zeus gig. That's not going away. COG, not going away. That's every Saturday at 9 o'clock. They're doing a new program that's kind of tied more to what's going on in Ukraine, so it's a lot more trench warfare. We'll be seeing that later tonight as a start, but I'm just kind of testing out what their server is going to do with it. 31st operations are going to be 16th and 23rd this month. We already have the first one completely done. Second one's almost done, so that'll we'll stream some of the mission dev for it over the next week. TOC, that other 40k community, we have one more op scheduled in April to finish that previous mission file we streamed, I believe, last weekend. After that, I don't know if there will be any more work, so we'll see. And then Metro has me working on a few things for his community. There's 2 more, and then it'll be shelved for a little while. And then POG, of course, every Thursday. There is another idea I have to potentially do more 5th OML operations on Fridays. But I will be announcing that after Pay for Pain because I'm trying to sort everything. But that's to give the TLDR, I used to fund, and this was years ago, I'd put a donation goal up, and then if the community made that donation goal of usually a few $100s, we would run a certain theme of op because those ops back in the day would take me hours upon hours to develop. Thinking back to some of the concepts that are a lot easier for me to work with these days, but it could be something like that where if people want to see more 40k stuff, I can have the community, as in the viewer base, fund it, and then we can spend a week or 2 to make it. And I think, especially with the 5th, since they only work up to 15 or 20 players, and then I advertise it in my community as well. Doing some small scale 40k ops would greatly allow us. I know Valkyrie, especially because her specialty is 40k, but that would allow us to basically create some really beautiful ops. In comparison to what we saw in the TOC stream and what we've seen in the recent 31st operations, where their really high player count kind of prevents us from going super detail oriented because the server has to deal with 40, 50, 60, 70. I think the TOC up went to 80 at a few points for the player count. That definitely makes it harder to do those more grandiose style operations. I've had to yank Valkyrie's leash back a few times to prevent her from making these super detailed custom compositions, for example. Trying to think. There's an error on the schedule. I don't know why. Sometimes when I schedule a few things, it automatically goes to the next day for some silly reason. So TBD, it's not a 2-day event. It's just meant to be done on the 24th. Actually, it's meant to be on the 25th. Why is it on? I swear, sometimes the schedule can be a little wonky. But it's better than a Google one because Google, we would all have to have Google accounts to see it. But I feel like the schedule after moving it to a more public channel has been a bit easier for everyone. But let's see, in terms of any other projects I can think of tied to the community, YouTube, I am just not gonna focus on anymore. I don't really see a point. I'll be just keeping the front logs going for the channels, mainly the VOD channel, PvP Shenanigans channel as well. Main channel, I've been experimenting with for 2 years now, trying to figure out a decent algorithm for it. There isn't one. It's just stuck. So, yeah, I'll just upload when I feel like it and watch the sub count slowly fall, because why not at this point? Twitch is Twitch. Patreon is Patreon. And yeah, no, beyond that, that's it. If there's any questions, feel free to start asking them. The only thing I'm going to add is DayZ. We're bringing back. I'm actually going to be doing a DayZ stream later today. It won't be scheduled. I'm going to try to be doing 2 a week, one sometime on the weekend spontaneously for a few hours, and one on the planned Friday evening. Either on Ghost Will server or Razors, because that also decently collects some funds, and it's near tax season, so I gotta get that all set up. Taxes every month, every year are a pain in the ass for me as a self-employed entrepreneur, but we get through it somehow. Trying to think. I do want to get into Helldivers, but I don't have the time between having to edit everything, having to make all these mission files, especially the commission jobs. I've been trying to carve out a few hours for myself, and I mean, even Bloodwing told me yesterday, I've never really had a break in the past few weeks other than like a burnout. So I'll be trying to balance things out with the schedule. I'm hoping that, maybe bringing the other Zeuses to have a other mission ready to go, and that would be Charlotte, Mac Marine, and I also gave Jay-Z a special offer for based off of what he did in the previous rotation, but that'll be some tagged ops, which will be debuting in maybe 2 or 3 weeks during the current schedule, but I have to get with him and talk to him about that. All right, public announcement of MCO details when will be Wednesday, as I think I mentioned earlier, and that will include the mod set to download. More notes on the Siege of Jadakville. We built the mission. I had Valk look over the mission. We optimized the mission. Thought we did a really good job. Then I recently came across a video saying that movie that came out about it on Netflix was like a complete lie. So I either have to throw out 8 hours of work or I just run it as the movie version. So I'm just going to put a disclaimer on it to say it's the movie version because yeah. Oh well. We might run another one in a year or two to make up for it. But MCO itself will be doing probably every like 30 to 60 days. I say 45, but I'll just give that range instead because it'll just depend on my schedule. Video, audio experience. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. But it'll definitely be a more intense style operation. If you liked how Rate Road went, Jadakville is going to be very similar, but with a larger player base. However, you will have to focus on complete 360 rather than a single direction, and that's where you guys are going to get stretched out. I do need to redo the kits in the mission, though, because I want to just take all the ammo and put it in some ammo boxes instead of having you all spawn with it. Even though it is a limited life operation, but I just want to... I might not. Again, it just depends on how long it's going to take me to redo all the kits, but... because I'm a jerk. Otherwise, that is everything I can think of tied to the channel. I'm racking my brain here, went through everything on my notes. And I think that is it. I'm going to go look on Twitch to see if there's anything. Yeah, one of the major things that was missing from the movie, I mean, there's a few major issues, but some of them I'm not going to even go over, like the Bren scene, but there were Vickers. There were no Vickers mounted on cars. There were just 2 armored cars. I think theoretically I could get something similar to those armored cars if I added the NF mod, but at the same time, I would need to add some crews for them, and I think it's a little too late for me to do something like that, but we'll see how things go. Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap it up here. If you notice, I sound like the dead right now. I'm probably going to go take a map and then stream Mission Death. So it's been a busy morning, but otherwise, thank you for showing up, guys. I do like how brief these updates are getting. Quick notes, by the way, on the armor ops after doing some more testing with the previous one. What I've learned is don't use Bekatov, which is annoying because we had the next gate op planned. So I've been moving it to Gun Kisley, but that's why you haven't seen anything about Gate recently. It's because we transferred everything over to Gun Kisley instead. You might see a gate up by the end of the month. If not, you'll definitely see one in April. But yeah, don't use Beketov. And then RHS does still cause some memory leaking issues. We still had a few mem leaks on the Farabad map though, but we were getting up to like the hour-and-a-half mark or whatnot. So I think it's just all of the smoke particle textures causing it because we did pure vanilla with RHS assets. But yeah. Trying to think if there's any other recurring projects. I already mentioned SOG. I already mentioned the air defense crew stuff. We'll be doing at least one of those by the end of the month again. I do want to do an air only op as well because those are kind of fun. I just have to figure out how we're going to do triple R, but Max sent me a script and I'm wondering what the height limit of that script is because we could just have you guys fly over a zone to rearm the bombs, quote unquote. Because I'm pretty sure it can be tied to an area trigger that we can make re-executable. Yeah. So we'll just put a giant marker area trigger on the map and say, you just fly over here to rearm, guys, and do full triple R. It's easy. Yeah, exactly. Make the timers to 1 or, 2 or 5. Depends on how big we set that area to. But I do want to say, guys, thank you for joining me, not just here, but in the operations in the past. I mean, we've got our own little nice community of a good number of ops go anywhere from 20 to 40, and I can't complain, So we just have to make sure we keep balancing things accordingly. But I'm just here to Zeus and vibe with you guys. So thank you for being here, and we'll see. We'll see how the rest of this month goes. But I'm gonna go ahead and conclude, and I hope you all enjoy your Saturday. Have a good one.